my first crypto involvement was when I was, again, society president at the University of Lancaster. And I think, I found it, it was my duty, as far as I was concerned, to help educate the people that were in my society about cool and interesting ways to make money, grow businesses and things. So I kind of had a responsibility, or at least I felt I had a responsibility. Probably wouldn't have got in trouble if I didn't do it. But I felt very much like I had a moral responsibility to educate them as best as I could, which meant I needed to learn some more stuff too. So I think it was I want to say 2014, it might have been 2013. I put posters all around the university because I was the president of the society, right? And you can advertise. So I was like, come to lecture theatre, whatever it was, at Thursday, 7:00 at night, and I'm going to tell you all about Bitcoin and why it's a great thing. And this was 2013, 2014, a long time ago. I don't even know what the price was at that time, a few £100 a coin. It was ridiculous. And the whole point of that was to educate people as to what it was and how it worked and why it was going to be a big thing. But there was a sneaky kind of get people in the room, because what I wanted to do was then have a second meeting of people that were perhaps interested in this, with the intention of buying a Bitcoin mining machine. And at the time, they were £5,000. And student Josh, did not have £5,000. That was a lot of money. So it still is a lot of money, isn't it? £5,000. But I didn't have it. So my crafty little plan was to wrap a couple of my friends / associates together and ask them all for £500, and together we would purchase this Bitcoin mining machine. Now, I think at the time, if memory serves me rightly, it was making around 3.2 Bitcoin a week, which in today's money is like well over 30 grand a week, which is ridiculous. But at the time, it was going to be like, oh yeah, it'll pay for itself in like a month. It'll be a great return on investment. So that was the plan. It was kind of educate people, pool all the money together to sell a machine, to buy a machine rather, plug it in, turn it on, and make loads of money was the plan. As it turned out, that didn't end up working quite that way, because we ended up buying from a dodgy company in China, and they were all over promising and delivering, and the machine never turned up. And we all end up getting our money back, thankfully, minus losing 20 quid in exchange rate. So it wasn't the biggest drama in the world. But, the point was I got into this a long time ago and saw the benefits there. And obviously, at that point, you could only mine Bitcoin on these specialist bits of kit. So I, as a non-computer engineering person, would have no chance in hell of being able to do that. As the market continued to grow and develop, there was what known as these altcoins, these alternative to Bitcoin. So, Ethereum being the biggest, most well-known of those. So any coin that comes after Bitcoin is basically called an altcoin. Bitcoin is the OG, the original coin. So anything that comes after that is an altcoin. And these altcoins are mined on different types of equipment. They're mined on computer graphics cards. Those little things behind me, which would normally go inside your computer to play top-end video games or video editing softwares, or even artificial intelligence, or lots of computational number cruncher stuff. And the kind of ecosystem of crypto at that point realized that instead of having these silly centralized machines that you have to buy from one manufacturer, and they wanted everyone to be able to get involved in this. That was the whole ethos of how this was created in the first place. So people basically ended up using graphics cards to provide power to the blockchains for all these other coins. And that's what, became the difference in technology. And I thought, well, there's no way in hell I can make these custom chips. I've not got a £1 million, chip manufacturing company. But getting my hands on some graphics cards, that's in the realm of possibility. Is there anything I can do to put this together? And I mean, I am not, ironically now I own the business and I've taught people how to do what we do, and then they've taught people, and then, now the team's grown and such. But, I am not, people think I'm some like supercomputer nerd. That's really not the case. I can't write a line of code. I'm not some tech Silicon Valley guru. I was just a boy that thought, cool, well, these machines exist. What if I can figure out how to build them? That sounds cool. And it took me a long, long, long time. It took me maybe 4 or 5 months to be able to figure out how to build one. And, you know, for those of you watching now, I did actually used to have hair back then before I lost half of it due to stress through making these bloody things in the first place. So, yeah, now everyone's just watching going, oh my God, I didn't realize. Yeah, well, I'm going to buy some more with Bitcoin. So, I'm fine, right? But the point is it took me ages, and I mean tears and blood and sweat and all of that. It was awful because I'm not a computer wizard, but I just painfully made it happen. And this was whilst I was in my last year at university. My last year of university, so I think we're 2017 now. I decided that, you know, maybe there's something to this, and I think it was the day that I got my results from university, so it would have been July 17, was when I sold the first rig to someone who I didn't know. I think I'd sold one or two to like previous old work contacts, and again, it was actually one of the people, I think in the first episode we mentioned about me working in the warehouse. It was actually the guy that owned the company whose warehouse I worked in who bought my first ever bit of kit. So again, kind of there's some lesson there in networks and contacts and keeping good relationships 7-8 years later, I guess. But so that's what kicked off the idea, and then I was able to. This was the first one that I sold to someone else. So yeah, it was difficult, and I cried a lot, and I stressed a lot, and I broke a lot, and I mean I didn't have any money to build the first unit. That's one of the interesting things about my business now. Like we haven't taken any money. No loans, no debt, no equity, no nothing. I own 100% of the business as it stands at the moment. Maybe if someone watching this down the line, things may have changed. But yeah, so I didn't have, you know, a fiver to rub together at that point. You know, I was finishing university and basically sold my car to buy the components for my first machine. And then sold it, made a little bit of money, and I used that to buy a second machine. Sold it, made a little bit of money, used that to buy machine 3 and machine 4 and machine 5, and now, yeah, just I guess things have just moved on from there a little bit. But yeah, so once I'd done it, I guess the point that the process was so difficult was the logic behind going, well, what if I can do this for people? Because I knew what it was. It was a machine that you turned on and it paid you every day. That's like, what an incredible thing that is. I mean, we've long dreamt about a money-making machine. I mean, how ridiculous, right? And here we are, a machine that pays you every day for being turned on. Madness. So I knew if I could crack it and get it right and kind of find an easy solution for people to avoid all the stress and months of drama and all the pain that I went through to get there, then that would be something people are willing to pay for.